Education Bureau in collaboration with Addis Media Network. I am Ms. Mustal bringing you this class, and today's topic is gerunds. But before we talk about today's topic, let us go back to earlier class and do a little recap. If you remember, last time we talked about infinitives. And the thing with infinitives is they are very similar to today's topic, gerunds. Gerunds and infinitives are very similar because they both use the base verb of a form of a verb, and they add something to it. In the case of infinitives, we add to with the base verb, and in the case of gerunds, we add ing to the base verb. That is how we use gerunds, and that is how we use infinitives. Let us remember what are some of the things that we said that we could use infinitives as. The first one that we talked about, if you remember, is we use it as nouns. We use infinitives as nouns. For example, to win the race is my dream. We use it as a noun. If we use it as a noun, it usually comes first, most of the time, not all the time, but it usually comes first, and it's showing us not only a noun, but it has the idea of a subject. So, another example, we could say, to share this food is my plan. So again, we use what? To share, to win. We are using the base verb without changing its form, but we have added to it. And that is when we use it as a noun. What about when we use it as an adjective? When we use it as an adjective. The first one, I will give you an example. When we use it as an adjective, we show what? We show a noun, or we modify the noun. For example, she has a book to read. They have a plan to complete, and the like. To read, to complete. Again, we do not change the base verb forms, but we add what? We add to it, and we make it infinitive. Okay, the third way we said last time that we use an infinitive is as an adverb. They taught to plan ahead. They taught to plan ahead. So, in this case, they are thinking about it, what to do to plan ahead. Okay. Another example, we decided to stop this madness. Again, we have decided what to do to stop something. So here in this case, we use it as an adverb, and the above one, we used it as an adjective. And finally, we said we use it with question forms like where, when, what, and how. We use them with these question forms. For example, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. So if that's the case, we use it with question forms like what, when, and where. So these were the 4 ways we discussed last time of using infinitives. What about gerunds? So our topic for today is gerunds. Gerunds or gerund. And we, just like infinitives, if you remember, we have a different or lots and lots of verb selections, like infinitives. For example, gerunds are, let's define this first. Gerunds are base verb forms that take ing in their form. We have, as I said, lots and lots of verbs, base verbs, like sleep, walk, enjoy, run, see, watch, eat, different kinds, work. We have so many, arrive, complete, start, finish. So we have a lot of verbs, actions that we do. So if we have all of those different verbs, we use the base verb first and we add what? ing with it. For example, words like stop, finish, discuss, enjoy, eat, avoid, sleep, and so many others, okay? And so many others. So what we do is we add the ing form. Some of the words, they change, some of the verbs, they change, or we add a little bit to it. For example, in the first one, we add double P and we add ing. Because of the vowel and consonant agreement, sometimes if there are double vowels, we add double consonants. A vowel at the beginning, in the middle, or let's say a consonant in the middle, and we have a vowel here, then we make it double. Sometimes it happens like that. Sometimes we only do ing if that is not the case. So if that is the case, we add ings to all of these forms. But with gerunds, it could be a little bit, it can make you make a mistake by identifying it with the continuous form of a verb. For example, let's give an example. Swimming is my hobby. Swimming is my hobby. We have a gerund here. I am going to swim. We have 2 examples here. The first one is swimming is my hobby. In the second case, I am going to school. So what is the difference here? What is the difference here? The first one is what? A gerund. While in the second case, even though it used ing, we have ing here, we are what? Using it as a continuous tense, the continuous tense of a verb. I am going to swim. So we are using it as a verb here. The ing form, we're using it as a verb, not as a noun. In the first case, swimming is my hobby. So in the first case, we're using it as a noun. If that is the case, we call it gerund. So gerunds are verbs that have ing form in them, but we don't use them as a verb. We use them as a noun. That is the difference between verbs used as or have ing but are used as a verb or to show an action, or verbs that have ing with them and that are used to show a noun. Just like the previous lesson, if you remember when we were talking about infinitives, we said to do or to win a situation or a competition or a race, we used it as a noun when it came first. Just like that, here, we use it as a noun. Swimming. It is an action, but we don't use it as a verb. We use it as a noun. I will give you another example. Reading is my pastime. My pastime. Reading is my pastime. It's saying, in other words, it is something I enjoy. It is a hobby. So, if that is the case, is reading here as a gerund or as a gerund as a noun or as a verb? I will give you another example. She is reading a book. So, again, we have the same word. We have the same word, but what makes it different? In the first case, we use it as a gerund. But in the second case, we use it as what? A verb, to show a verb. But in the first case, we use it as a gerund and to show a noun. So that is the difference. So whenever you have these kind of situations, be aware that it won't confuse you as a gerund or as a verb. Because if you see the second example, and again here in the second example, there we have our subject, we have our verb to be. It could be, for example, she was reading a book. Again, the same, but here it is in the past continuous form, and we have was to make it a past continuous form. It could also be she will be reading a book. In all of these cases to show future, but we are using the same word, but we are showing continuous tense or an action. If we're showing tense, we're showing what? Verb. So here again, she is, we have our subject. She is again, she was again, she will be. All of these show what? An action. Reading, reading, reading. The same, an action. But it shows tense. In the first one, it is the present continuous. In the second one, it is the past continuous. The third, it is future continuous. So these are all showing verb, an action of reading. She is sitting down and she is reading. So that shows an action, and our focus is on the action, but not on the noun. Here, we use reading as a noun. Reading is my pastime. It is my hobby. It is something I love. If that is the case, it is what? As a noun. So do not be confused. Usually, when we are using verbs or the ing form of the verb, we have tense to follow. For example, we have our subject, we have our verb to be's, is, was, will be, we have our verb to be's, and we have the ing form of the verb to show action. That is how it's done. And gerunds, just like infinitives, they have different forms of using them, or we use them in different situations. The first one, like we talked about, as a noun. We gave some examples earlier. We use it to show it as a noun. Playing my guitar always relaxes me. Dancing is fun. Running is a good exercise. Okay, if you see here, we have running, dancing, playing. We have double N here. We are following the consonant and vowel rules. And play, we have the base verb. We have added ing. We have dance. And then with ing, we have running. And all of these are what? They are here as gerunds, not as tense forms or verb forms. Why? Because first, they came first. This is the difference between them. They came first and they are showing a noun as a subject. They came as a subject. Playing my guitar always relaxes me. It's not about the action, but it's about, we're not showing, our focus is not on the verb, but it's just playing. Dancing is fun. It is something I enjoy, I love. Running, again, is a good exercise. So if it comes first, then it is what? We are showing a noun, and we use ing. Okay. What about if it comes as an object? As an object. She enjoys eating chips. I like running in the morning. They love watching a movie. All of them are here as objects. I like running. She enjoys eating. They love watching. So here it is shown as an object. Again, if we remember, if we go back earlier, we said gerunds are not verbs. They don't show verb forms. They show what? Nouns. So in the first case, they came, in the first examples, they came in the beginning to show themselves as nouns and subjects. In the second case, they came as objects. So she enjoys eating. If you see the pattern, it's very similar, right? She enjoys eating. I like running. They love watching. So the pattern is almost the same. So this is the second way we use gerunds. What about the third way? The third way we use gerund is as a subject complement. As a subject complement. Complement a subject. An example. My favorite pastime is reading. If you remember earlier, we used the same or similar kind of sentence, but we used to show a gerund as a noun because we brought reading first here. We said reading is my pastime, if you remember. That is when we showed gerund as a noun. But in this case, we used it to complement a subject. My favorite pastime is reading. So when we are showing gerunds, or when we are using gerunds as a subject to complement, we usually have verb to be before them. A verb to be before them. For example, another example. My favorite hobby is running. My favorite hobby is running. Again, if you see here, they are followed a lot of times. When we use gerund as a subject complement, we first have a verb to be and then we have a gerund. Okay, another example. What I dislike most is repeating myself. What I dislike most is repeating myself. Again, if you see here, when we are using gerund as a subject complement, we have what? Is before it. Verb to be, again, a verb to be. So these are an indicator whenever we're using gerunds as what? As subject complements. Please do not be confused with, again, the continuous form of the present tense. The continuous form of the present tense, earlier we said, is we could use is or are depending on our subject with the continuous form of the verb. But here we don't use it as a verb, we use it as a noun. Okay, these are the three ways in which we could use gerund. And we also could use it in different situations. But these are the most common ways we could use gerund. I will give you one extra example here. The hardest part is waiting. So again, we are showing what? Gerund with the verb to be here. Most of the time when we use it as a subject complement, we have a verb to be first. Most of the time, in this case, we don't have the other verb to be, but most of the time we have is, followed by a gerund. So it is very easy for you to spot a gerund when we use it as a subject complement, when we use it as an object, and also when we use it as a noun. Because usually when we use gerund as a noun, if you have seen the pattern in the first examples that we give when we were talking about noun, it usually comes what? At the beginning, just like, if you remember, when we're using infinitive as nouns, they usually come first. If that is the case, it is very easy for us to know that the gerund we use in this point is we use it as a noun. When we use it as an object, first we have to have a subject, we have to have an idea of what's happening. She likes, I enjoys, I love, and then we use it as an object. Finally, when we use it as a subject complement, we usually, before the gerund, we have the verb to be is most of the time. So that is very easy patterns you can spot when you are using gerunds so that you don't get confused with the continuous form of verbs. Okay, let's see a few exercises and see how well you do. Complete the following sentences with the correct form of a gerund. Okay, number one, blank walk helps me to relax. Number two, the team practiced blank kick. Number three, blank sleep is hard if you suffer from anxiety. Number four, his favorite activity is play the guitar. Number 5, they love blank hike. Number 6, the thing she hated most about the school is blank gets up early. Okay, so I think this is enough. I want you to look at all of these sentences and see how we use gerunds, okay? See how we use gerunds, and I want you to use the correct form of the gerunds. So I will give you 3 minutes to finish, and then we'll come back and do it together. Okay, so I'm sure you all did a wonderful job, but if there are any corrections, let's see them together. The first one, walk. So we change walk into a gerund by adding ing. Walking. Walking helps me to relax. So we use this gerund as a noun here. The team practiced. Practiced. Kicking. The team practiced kicking. It is so easy, right? Number 3, sleep. Sleeping. Sleeping is hard if you suffer from anxiety. If you have anxieties, fears that you have during the daytime, it's hard for you to sometimes sleep. So sleeping is hard if you have anxiety. Number 4, his favorite activity is what? Playing. Playing the guitar. His favorite activity is playing the guitar. Number 5, they love what? Hiking. They love hiking. This is an activity people do when they are going up a mountain. It is a fun activity and it's also a good exercise. Okay, the thing she hated most about this school is what? What did she hate? Getting up early. So when you go to school or when you go to work, you have to what? Rise up early in the morning to prepare to go to those places. So in this case, the thing she hated most was what? Is getting up early in the morning. So these are all how you use gerunds. You only use the base verb with ing, and you use it as a noun, you use it as an object, and you also use it as a subject complement. But unlike a tense form, for example, the continuous tense form, in this case, gerund shows what? Noun, or it emphasizes noun instead of emphasizing verb or action. That is the difference between gerunds and the continuous tense of a verb. And that is all about gerunds, and I'm sure you have a lot of things in this class. You've gotten a lot of things, and you will be practicing using gerunds and also infinitives. They are very similar. So use them and practice them in your writing and your reading and your speaking. And I hope to see you all next time. Thank you all for coming.